Now, at this point, we are on the last subtopic, which is constructing selected response type of test. Now, on your screen, you would see the different examples of binary choice or alternative form of test item. On the first column, you have these six kinds or six varieties of binary choice. We have true or false, yes or no, right or wrong, correction type, multiple true or false type, or yes or no with explanation. Now, we have examples of stimulus, okay, or examples of test items in our screen. Okay, from here, you would see that every variety or all except the yes or no type have propositions as stimulus. Okay, propositions here are commonly content based, as you can see on the example. And in terms of using this binary choice, the ease of construction makes this type more popular compared to the other types of test. For true or false type, the stimulus here should be a statement or a proposition. Just like in our example, the planets of the solar system revolve around the sun. So that's the statement or the proposition in which the learners will identify whether it's true or false. Well, for a yes or no binary choice type of test, the stimulus is not a proposition, but rather a direct question. It should be, of course, a question that is answerable by yes or no, such as in our example, do the planets of the solar system revolve around the sun? So it's answerable by yes or no. We also have the right or wrong type, in which the stimulus could be a computation, an equation, or a statement, such as in mathematics, you would state this item. Factors of 18 are 2, 3, 6, and 9. So they need to choose whether it's right or wrong. Next, we have the correction type of binary choice. We hear our stimulus, the proposition, which will be corrected or must be corrected if it is incorrect. Okay, for example, if your answer is wrong, okay, you answer that the item is not correct, you need to provide for the correct answer. That's the correction type of binary choice. As in our example here, the biggest planet in the solar system is the Earth, right or wrong? Since the answer is wrong, the learner will have to indicate the corrected answer, which is Jupiter. Next, we have the multiple true or false. In here, the multiple choice stem, which will serve as the stimulus, is given with statements to be judged as true or false. As in our example, Ebola virus is easily transmitted because, number one, so it is airborne, true or false. Number two, it is transmitted through the body liquids, true or false. Number three, both children and adults can be affected. So in here you have three items, okay, serving as options for the sample item. Ebola virus is easily transmitted because. So one by one, they have to identify whether each alternative is true or false. So this is still classified under binary choice because it's a multiple true or false. Now, in terms of tagging, of course, you have 1 point for number one point for number two, and another point for number three. So it's a 3 point item assessment for one stem, which is Ebola virus is easily transmitted because of blank. Last, we have the yes or no type with explanation. So in here, the stimulus are direct questions that require explanation for a negative response, such as are weather systems independent of each other? Yes or no. If the student replies a no, he or she explains the answer. So some sort of a combination of a binary choice, and the explanation would focus on a restricted type of essay. So I repeat, for binary choice, the ease of construction makes this type popular. Now, what are the suggestions or the recommendations, the guidelines that we need to follow in constructing binary choice type of test? First, align options with the logic of proposition. In here, if it's true or false, the proposition must be about true or false item, not yes or no. We might be confused that the item is asking a yes or no response, but then your options are true or false, or the other way around, or the otherwise. So if it's true or false, I repeat, the proposition must be about true or false item, not a yes or no. So be careful with the options that we are giving, the binary options that we are giving. Second, we focus on the single fact or data. So in here, we do not bombard the item with compound or complex items. Okay, one idea per item. So it should not be a complex sentence with a lot of ideas running around in the sentence, because the focus will be some sort of it will suffer in a way, no, it will make the sentence vague, and therefore the comprehension at risk. Number three, avoid long sentences because this might obscure the thought. Number four, avoid insignificant or trivial facts or words because students may commit error not because they do not know the answer, but because of the unnecessary facts that we included in the test item. Fifth, avoid negative statements. So the items are not that confusing because if there are negative statements, it will be confusing, and then you are asking your learners to choose between yes or no. Remember, if it's double negative, it becomes confusing. Okay, are we going to answer based on the negative word, or are we going to answer based on the positive part of the item? So again, avoid negative statement. Another recommendation would be avoid inadvertent clues to the answer. So when I say inadvertent clues, these are clues in which we write items such as never, always, all the time, since most of the time. Because when we use this inadvertent clues, most of the time, the answers are false. Okay? The answers to these items are responses pointing out to false statement, and they are easily recognized by the test-wise students. Okay, so that's number six. We avoid inadvertent clues through the use of the words never, always, all the time, since most of the time, these items or these words indicate that they are false. Next, we have the seventh one, avoid vague adjectives and adverbs. So for number seven, the students we should remember that the students interpret differently when we use adjectives and adverbs, like the word typically, the word usually. Okay, in terms of frequency, that would differ depending on the person. Like what is usual to me may be not usual to you. Okay, if usual to me is 4 times a week, your usual to you may be 5 times a week. So it's some sort of vague to the test takers. That's why we need to avoid using this word in binary choice. I repeat, these are the suggestions in constructing binary choice type of test items. So these are samples of bad items under binary test. So when I say bad items, they are not good in terms of construction. They are poorly constructed. So for yes or no, item number one, 4 and 6 are factors of 24. What's wrong here? We need to align the options with the logic of proposition. So if we're asking yes or no, then the item should be a question answerable by yes or no. But you are stating a proposition. It's a statement. 4 and 6 are factors of 24. So the option should be true or false, not yes or no. That's for number one. Well, for number two, right to suffrage is given to citizens in a democratic country in order to enjoy economic gains. What's wrong here? We need to remember that we need to focus on the single fact or idea. I repeat, single fact or idea. So in here you have right to suffrage is given to citizens in a democratic country. Another idea in order to enjoy economic gains. So you have two ideas running in one sentence. So which will be answered, or which will be the focus in answering? That's some sort of vague. Well, for number three, criterion reference tests are interpreted based on a standard that determines whether students have reached an acceptable level or not. What's wrong here? It's too long. Okay, it's too long for a true or false type of test item. Number four, we have this sentence, okay, referring to what to eat, no? What to, it's about health. Now, if you are going to assess this sentence, what's wrong with number four? There are insignificant or trivial facts or words in this sentence. Because simply, we're just asking about whether this fruits, I mean, this vegetables, okay? The vegetables, or some are fruits, stated here, are contributory to gout. So all they have to do is identify whether this really contributes to gout. But you have here the word people who are suffering from gout, whether inherited or not from their parents. So I repeat, avoid insignificant or trivial facts. Stay focused on your aim, on your goal, on the real item. Number five, all European nations are not in favor of joining the European Union. That's another example. So in here, we have negative words, okay, such as not. Okay, and I repeat, it confuses the test taker whether to answer true or false. Okay, and like if you remove not, it's simply true or false. Okay, number six, essay tests are never easy to score. Okay, this is an example of inadvertent clues. Okay, to answer. So we avoid inadvertent clues such as the word never. So definitely, just like what I've said, most of the time this is false. So avoid this type of items for binary choice type of test. Number seven, people from cold countries typically drink wine every day. So we have here the vague adjectives and adverbs. Okay, the vague modifier here is the word typically. So what is typically for you may not be typical. Okay, may not be typical to the other, to the reader. So again, it's some sort of confusing. Those are the examples of poorly constructed binary test items. Let's move to the multiple choice items, which is under still our last category. So in here we have the stimulus, which could be a stem. Okay, and of course we have the options. Okay, if it's multiple choice items, so we rise above the quantity of binary choice items. So it could be 3 to 5 plausible alternative or choices. So there should be more than two choices for the stimulus. So now the item is what we call the stem. So as in our example, the direct question form, okay, in the direct question form of a multiple choice items, the question will be in this way. What form of government is ruled by a prime minister? So that is our stem, which is a direct question. A stem could also be um, a statement, an incomplete statement, as in number two. Incomplete statement form, okay, among the Asian countries, one of which has a government with three branches. Okay, and that is blank. That is an incomplete statement form of stem. Now, in terms of your option, it could be labeled with letters or numeral of the selected option or the chosen distractor. So that's an example of a multiple choice type of test. Now, let's identify what we mean by good or poor stem. For number one, the Constitution is blank. Is this an example of a good or poor stem? Okay, based on our example, on top, okay, right below the good or poor stem question, it's an example of a poorly constructed stem. Why? Hello, are you asking for a definition? Are you asking for an adjective? Are you asking for another meaning for constitution? It's not clear what are they going to provide. Is it an essay type of test? Is it a short answer? Or do you need one word for that blank? So again, it's poorly. I repeat, it's an example of a poorly constructed stem for a multiple choice type of test. Same with number two. Which product of Thailand makes it economically stable? So you have rice, dried fruits, dairy fruits, ready to wear. So what's wrong with the stem? The stem is poorly constructed. It's because it's some sort of subjective, I think. Okay, because all of these products perhaps could contribute to a stable economy of Thailand. But if you will be asking which of the product of Thailand, okay, or contributes the most to make its economy stable, then that would be a better question because you have to choose the best answer based on facts, perhaps based on revenue, based on profit. So they will choose which product really contributed a lot or contributed the most to the economy of Thailand. So that's how we correct uh, this poorly constructed stems. Now, on your screen, you would see the suggestions in order for us to construct good distractors. So, a while back, we have a workshop or some guidelines in writing a very good STEM. Now, how do we write the distractors? Distractors should be well thought, okay? Distractors should be well thought because we do not only focus on stating the correct answer as part of the choices, and then you ignore the other alternatives, okay? Which are the distractors? There should be a reason for including each of those distractors in your uh, responses, okay, among the choices, among the selection. So in writing the distractors, number one, we need to use the student's most common error, right? During lecture, during discussion, they are stating some errors. You include that among the options. Just to test during the assessment whether they corrected that or not. Okay. Next, number two, use important sounding words such as significant or accurate, but do not overdo. Because I repeat, this may cloud, this may make the meaning suffer. So it's about comprehension. So ask yourself if a grade 1 learner will read this distractor, okay, with this important sounding words, will it still be within the level of the learner? So vocabulary, our choice, our selection of words play very crucial in order to make your test item reliable in terms of comprehensibility, meaning to say it's comprehensible, okay, to the minds of the test takers. Use words that have verbal associations with the item such as politician and political. So those are the examples for verbal associations. Next, we have avoid obviously correct answer. Like if you will use the article a and on, okay, as a part of your test item, and then you put a blank. So after a, the answer is a and then blank. The following word indicates, or the answer indicates that it begins with a consonant sound. Well, if you use the article an, definitely the following word that is missing is a word that begins with a vowel sound. For the next recommendation, it should be using textbook language or other phraseology that has the appearance of the truth, which means you need to use distractors that look like the correct answer. Okay, distractors that almost look like the correct answer. And how to do this? We use some terminologies in the textbook, in the actual textbook that our learners are using, just to confuse them a bit in terms of choices and to identify whether they are comprehending on the content of the distractors or just memorizing from the textbook. Next, we need to use distractor that are parallel in form. Like if you started with a statement form of distractor or a declarative form of distractor, then all of the other distractors in the same item should be in declarative form. So if it's a phrase as your choice letter A, the choice letter B should also be a phrase. And they should be grammatically consistent with the item stem. So if the item stem is in past tense, therefore the choices should be written in past tense. So if the item's stem or the stem is in present, therefore you should construct all the choices in that particular tense. Okay, because sometimes we tend to forget that the stem is written in present tense, then you have three options written in past tense and then one option in present tense. So that really indicates the correct answer. So be careful. They should be consistent. Next, we make the distractor similar to the correct answer in terms of length, vocabulary, sentence structure, and complexity of thought. That's why you call them distractor in order to confuse the learners that all of these items were constructed in a way that they look really like a correct answer. Okay, by the way, just to highlight, in a multiple choice type of test, we're not just looking for the correct answer. Sometimes we are also looking for the best answer, which means all of the choices are correct and the test taker has to choose the correct answer or needs to choose the best answer out of the options. Next, avoid using all of the above and none of the above as distractors. It's because most of the time they tend to be the correct answer in the multiple choice type of test. So those are the suggestions or guidelines in constructing good distractors for a multiple choice type of test. Now on your screen, we have another type which is the matching type test items. So you have the list of premises, of course, as written, and we have here the words or phrases to be matched or associated with an appropriate word. And commonly they are grouped as column A and column B. So they are in first column or second column. So you have the illustration on your screen. The first column describes events associated with Philippine presidents, while the second column gives their names. In the space provided, that's the direction. Write the letter of the president that matches the description. Okay, you have 1 to 4 and then A to D. So the list of responses here could be homogeneous alternative or options from which to select what will match the premise written in column A. So we have different techniques here, no? Some guidelines that we need to follow in writing the matching item. So this is also similar with the multiple choice type of test. The only difference is that, of course, the choices are stated in column B. Okay, the answer to the other items may serve as distractor to the other items. So what are the guidelines now in constructing matching items in terms of assessment? First, you keep the list of premises and the list of options homogeneous or belonging to a category. So just like in our example, going back to this slide, it's all about the president. Okay, these are homogeneous alternatives, so you should not be mixing or combining other items aside from the president. So if you will be combining, of course, a hero, okay, a hero as part of the options in column B, it's definitely serving as a distractor, a short incorrect answer for your category. So we avoid that because these may serve as a clue. Remember, your goal is to make all of these choices as distractors to the other items too. So if we are talking about the precedent, these are all precedents in column B. Next, number 2, keep the premises always in the first column and the options in the second column. So that's column A, the premises, column B, the options. Number 3, keep the lists in two columns and equal in number. And the principle or the reason behind this guideline is that after all the options were chosen or selected to specific test items. Okay, sorry for the noise because there are some kids over here. Again, for guidelines in number 3, keep the list into columns and equal in number. It's because if all the options were already chosen, at least you have one remaining distractor together with the correct answer. So it will not immediately dictate what's left. That the item that's left is the correct answer. Next guideline, we have number 4, task directions always describe the basis for matching. So be careful in writing the instructions. Of course, you need to indicate whether you need to write the letter on the blank indicated before the number in column A, or are they going to use lines? Okay, to match column A to column B, are they going to draw lines? Just this is actually usually applicable for elementary learners. Okay, like those who are in grade 1, kinder, grade 2, grade 3. Okay. Next, number 5, keep the number of the premises not more than 8 hours. Okay, as shown in the two sample items. So in here, we need to consider the time. Okay, we need to consider the time in answering. Okay, because it's very important that we make sure the learners, okay, that learners will answer the test, the set of items in a given period of time. Because sometimes we know the answer, but due to the limitation of time, we'll not be able to indicate that. Consider that also in creating the premises. Lastly, ambiguous list should be avoided. And obviously, in terms of ambiguity, in terms of the word selection, the vocabulary, all of the test types should be a special consideration. Okay, no test type is exempted or excluded when it comes to this guideline number 6. We need to make sure that we keep it short, simple, and easily comprehensible to our learners. So these are the guidelines for matching items. And that ends our session for today. I hope you have gained something with this session and you gained an insight on how to construct different test items in different test types. So have a good day, everyone.